Good morning everyone, my name is Michelle, I hope you're doing well. Welcome to another video. It is Friday morning and a beautiful sunny day. A little bit too hot for me actually, but yeah, in this video I'm going to talk about the Summer Wells case, but we're going to be looking at some records. The series of live streams that I did earlier this week. I hope some of you have had a chance to watch them now if you weren't able to tune in live. But there's 7.5 hours there of really detailed information. And this is the Summer Wells suspect list, which has become a little bit controversial. And the vast majority of these people I do not consider suspects in the case. But nobody has been formally cleared. So do we go with, what Sheriff Ronnie Lawson said eons ago now? That everyone's still a suspect, everyone's still a person of interest, yet no one's been named as a suspect. There's that. But the majority of these people, I think, only have some kind of tangential relationship with the Wells, or they're just people. But it did get me thinking about why some of these names have been put on there. And yes, I typed them on there right before you say, Michelle, you did put them on there. Yes, I did. But I asked for suggestions, and it's people in the chat who wanted me to put these names on. So the only people I didn't put on that were mentioned are people who absolutely could not have been there on June 15th. And if any of these people, if you can prove that any one of these people, and it goes over 2 pages, could not have been there in the area of 110 Ben Hill Road on June 15th, then I'll just take them off. But like I said, this is not my list. Only a handful of the names on this list I would consider suspects in the Summer Wells case. And by suspect, I mean that could have been involved in a variety of ways, because we also talked about theories. And the accident cover-up theory, for example, who might have covered up an accident. We also talked about, well, what happens if the suspect is not human? She wandered away and got lost and got attacked by an animal. We do know that there's poisonous snakes, there's bears, and black bears are seen around that area. In my opinion, after 2 years, I think something would have been seen, like clothing, unless, I guess, an animal managed to pick her up and take her away with minimal blood loss. It just doesn't seem likely to me. It doesn't seem likely to me, given the amount of searches in that area. But it's possible. And then some of the suspects could have been involved in the best case scenario, in my opinion, which is Summer's alive and well and she's living safely somewhere. But when we talk about abduction, giving away or hidden for her safety, someone's abducted her for that reason, then obviously we hope that's the case. It's still a crime, but we hope that's the case. But unfortunately, abduction, if it is an abduction scenario, whether it's a planned, controlled abduction, or whether it's an opportunist abduction after Summer wandered a little way off the hill, then chances are you're going to have a bad outcome. But considering these suspects, all right, what I decided to do was look at the property records for Tennessee to see who's who in the local area. And this is the Tennessee Comptroller of the Treasury. I never know how to say that. Is it controller or comptroller? It's spelt like comptroller. Anyway, it's the Tennessee Assessment Records. So I guess it's who's paying property tax. You have property tax. We have council tax. I think it's the same thing. And this is Ben Hill Road. This is Ben Hill Road. And for people who've looked at this site before, it has had a little update than last time I went on it. And this is for 2023. As you can see here, tax year 2023. Hawkins County, Ben Hill Road. Now, some of the properties have changed hands in the 2 years since Summer's been missing. But these are the people who are currently paying taxes. They might not live there, but they're paying taxes at these addresses. And you'll see that there's far more people who have properties on Ben Hill Road than there are people who have an address on Ben Hill Road. A lot of the parcels of land there aren't numbered. If you look at like a website and you just get the numbered addresses, it's minuscule compared to the actual people who have land there. So let's have a look. We've got 125 Ben Hill Road. We all know where that is. And if you click on GIS view, if you do this from Europe, you will have to have a VPN to open the GIS map. You can see this. You can see this without a VPN, but you need a VPN to see this. So 125 Ben Hill Road, of course, is where Geordie Sue was living. And that land is, it tells you how many acres this is. Somewhere, 16.7. That's where Geordie Sue was, in her cabin, somewhere around here, maybe. You can change the way it looks as well by doing this. But it's annoying because every time you go to a new person, you have to redo it. Of course, it's not Geordie Sue's, is it? It's owned by Polly Bernard, who was Polly Smith. So it's her land. So if Geordie Sue comes along and says that the GIS map's wrong and the property lines are wrong, then, well, so what? You've not got the surveys anymore, have you? Some of these properties round the back of Ben Hill Road have been sold. So you've got 64 acres there, right at the back. Now I hear you say, Michelle, why are you doing this? Because some of the names on the suspect list actually have property on Ben Hill Road. So 104 acres there, right at the back. And then one of the names on the list, Billy Dishner. Now, I know that Billy Dishner's name has been mentioned before. I know Billy Dishner's name came up very early on in the case. Something about a trucking company, I do seem to remember. I believe he used to know Don's mother. I think there's some connection between him and Don's mother, if I remember rightly. But it's interesting because he owns, or he's paying tax at, along with some other people. This parcel of land is part of the William Gold subdivision. He got a little chunk of it, so it's right there. So it's the corner, that piece that you see on the corner of Ben Hill Road when people go by. Not the nice mowed area, that's this big property here, that's the goalies. But it's this land here. So I think this would have been the land that the camp was on. Or maybe actually it could have just been on the goalies. Depends, because you can't really see where the ridge line is very well. That little camp that Cam from Cracking Case is found in this area somewhere. So whether it's on Dishners or goalies, I'm not sure. I don't even know whether Cam's ever said. I can't remember. Dishner also owns this one as well, this little parcel. So he has this. He doesn't live there. Not that I know of, anyway. And then goalies have the big one. It's that nice mowed area near Fred's, across from Fred's. And apparently there was a scent alert in this area. Never been told officially, but apparently there was a scent alert by one of the dogs who was live scent tracking summer in this area. I've got all of this on my Google Earth map of the case. But we're not doing that today, we're doing this. And then we've got Tim Smith, who owns that little parcel next to the Bernard, next to 125. Why was Geordie Sue not complaining about this person living in her front yard? Maybe because she knows Tim Smith, maybe? I don't know. Maybe because he's a relative. I don't know. Who else have we got? Stedman. This is one of Edward Redmond's properties that has been sold. That's a little parcel, 3.5 acres. Maybe that's not one that was recently sold. Another Billy Dishner one. There. I don't know why them two don't have Simpson Road addresses. I don't know why they have Ben Hill Road addresses. I mean, I guess that one, but that one, It's not even on Ben Hill Road. So why was Billy Dishner put on the suspect list? Can someone tell me why they think he's a suspect? Then Redmond's. Now, Redmond has not been put on my suspect list, but things are being said about Redmond. Edward Andy Redmond. Edward Andrew Redmond. And he has lots of acreage at the back of Ben Hill Road there. Lots of places to hide someone. It's part of the Elizabeth Hill subdivision. That'll be Fred Hill's grandma, is it? And then you've got Roy Fanning, who Fred Hill shot in the throat. He owns a little parcel, 10 acres. So, right there. Never been considered as a suspect, and why should he be? I'm not saying he should be. We've got some more Smiths here. More Redmond. Edward Andrew. Told you, Edward Andrew. So we've got another Andy in the mix. Jackie's little parcel. Jackie Dobbs still owns that little parcel that Jodie Sue reckons was in her front yard. 2.28 acres. We've got some more hills at the back there. Don Wells. Is that a new one? It's a name I don't recognise. Gardner. Tony Light. Where does Tony Light live? You know what someone should do? Someone should screenshot this and actually write the names on. I might do that. And then we've got Fred. We know where Fred lives. Right there. So that's Ben Hill Road. So we've got a few suspects who have land or had land on Ben Hill Road on the old suspect list here. Candice Don Grandma, obviously. Jodie Sue, Andy and their son, who were living there at the time. Don Sherfy Jr., who we'll get on to. Fred Hill. I don't consider Fred Hill a suspect. I really don't. Blue Roof Don. The reason why he's not come up on this is because he has a Beach Creek Road address, but I'll show you where his land is. Just click on any one of these. So, yeah, Blue Roof Don's land is there. That one. I wish you could just click on it and it takes you to the person. And you don't have to keep clicking in and clicking out. That's Ben Hill Road. Let's look at Simpson Road now. Because Simpson Road has got a lot of people who live there. It says there's 56 people who pay property taxes on Simpson Road, but it's actually because it's also included Simpson Loop, which is across Beach Creek Road. Let's have a look if there's any suspects on here. Well, the Gold family were put on the list, and this is their land right here. They own this little slither, 1.92 acres. Does that say? They own a slither there. Mary Gord is William Gord's sister. She died last year. But there is another piece of land that's theirs as well. If I can find it. There it is. She married a sexton there. So they own that. 2 chunks there. 2 plots there. And it's right across from, you can look down because that's high. You can look right down there onto where the kids might play on the Wells property. Just saying, because Jonathan Sherford Jr. would have access to that property, because his dad is the boyfriend of the daughter of Mary Sexton. So Don Sherford Jr. is still my number. Beyond the family who I can't exclude, he's my number 1. And law enforcement just need to tell us that they've checked him out. The problem is, we don't know how many of these people law enforcement have actually cleared. Like, you would think that they'd look at a SO like Frank Light, and he's not been arrested, therefore you think they've checked him out, and all the local drug dealers, you think they've checked those out, and Tony Hammonds, you think they'd check him out. The tree trimmers, you've got to believe that they checked them out. Right, apparently they're gone by the time Summer disappeared that day. Yeah, the tree trimmers are there to make sure that the power lines stay clear. Permanent tracks made. You can see them. Those are the permanent tracks that are made. And every so often, periodically, the tree trimming company come to make sure that there's no limbs on the power lines or anything like that. So there's one there. Permanent. I'm using Bing Maps because it's clearer a little bit. So, but you can't do, you know, move it like you do on Google. Like move the angle. You can't do it on Bing Maps. But just for something like that, it's clearer. So, the tree trimmers would have trimmed this area here for power lines. They'd have trimmed this area here. So while they were doing that, they'd actually have probably come up into the Wells yard to do that little bit there. And then along here. And this is all clear. So from Mary Gold's house here, you can see all the way down to the creek area. Right here, there's the shed. Just saying. So you guys who have your suspects like Billy Dishner, Billy Benton, who else have we got? Some of the Crawfords, Dudley, Blue Roof Don, and the rest. What's your rationale for all of these? I'd like to know what the rationale is for all of these. Because I've got my suspects, you've got yours, and law enforcement is telling us nothing. So looking at the property records from 2023, you might say, well, some of the people who were paying taxes on that land in 2021 are no longer there. That's true. But think about, you know, are there going to be any future searches for Summer? And whose permission would have to be granted to search for Summer? You know, some of this land has changed hands now. You know, would they grant new searches, really detailed searches? Because every time law enforcement come to search, and they haven't done a search since February 2022, they do this area right here. And they're doing this area for a reason. They're doing this area for a reason. Anyway, guys, let me know what your thoughts about all of that in the comments. And I'll see you very soon in the next video. Bye, guys. Wait.